You know that message you get like, hey, how much do you charge for music lessons? You reply with your rate and then they disappear. That used to happen to me all the time. But after coaching over 100 students online and building a six-figure drum coaching program, I realized it wasn't about what I was charging. It was about how I was talking to people before they actually signed up. So I'm going to show you the exact message framework that I use to turn random DMs into real students with a couple of examples of actual chats that I had with people who ended up joining my coaching program. The reason a lot of musicians lose potential students isn't that people aren't interested, okay? It's that the conversation often doesn't have any direction, okay? Someone will message asking you your price and you reply and that's it, okay? The chat just dies. And it's not because they changed their mind or it was too expensive or anything, but because there's no next step, right? And that's why having a little bit of structure changes everything, okay? You're not trying to sell anyone, right? You're just trying to keep the conversation going long enough to find out if it actually makes sense for you to work together. It's connection just with a little bit of direction, right? It's still a normal chat between two musicians, just with a bit more purpose. And to show you exactly what that looks like in practice, here is a real conversation I had with one of my first students for my online drum coaching program. So, as you can see, I messaged this person. This is from Facebook, all right? And I would have posted, I think I posted a poll, right? Like asking some questions in a Facebook group. This person responded to the poll, which prompted me to reach out to them. And this is what I said, hey, thanks for responding to my poll. What do you find most difficult about developing more interesting phrasing or fills? Now obviously the poll was about this, right? So it kind of connects the message to the poll, okay? He then replies, well, probably maintaining musicality of the entire band while still sounding unique, interesting, and not showboating. Then I respond, timing, that's a big one, the biggest, in fact, really important as a drummer. Then I ask, what kind of music do you play? Are you gigging, that kind of thing? I just want to get a sense of how active this person is. Do a little bit of gigging. He lives in Alaska, right? It's kind of small up there, he's saying. But he's also saying, I'd like to get into some more funk, kind of jazz swing stuff. That's cool. I've been to Alaska, so I was kind of riffing a bit here, oh, cool, where in Alaska. Are there any particular areas of your playing that you're struggling with? This is kind of the next thing. He tells me, biggest thing right now is kind of using appropriate fills and flowing between different themes, different phrases, right? He then also says, I've seen some of your videos. So, in these groups, I was posting mostly written content, but then I was also occasionally posting videos of me playing. So, people tend to see the same posts come up. So he kind of compliments me there, which is nice. And then he says, I'll sum up to say with the thing I'm struggling with is orchestration rudiments. That's cool. Obviously, thank you. Thank him. I understand what you mean, is what I say. Snare can kind of feel safe and you have to kind of force yourself to move around it. So a bit of drum terminology there, if you will. And then I ask him, is this something that, that you're looking to improve, basically? And he's like, definitely, Then I just say, look, I think I can help you with that. We should jump on a Skype call and have a chat. I think I've got some things I can show you. Then he doesn't reply for a day or something, hit him with the double question marks. And then he's like, dude, that'd be great. How does Friday sound? I have some spots. And then obviously we get into the logistics of kind of booking the call. Now, just for context, for me personally, I was selling a little bit of a bigger investment coaching program, right? So I think at this time I was charging about $1,000 or $1,500 for the 12 weeks mentorship program, right, that I was running. So it made sense to kind of offer a free session first, which is the point of the DMs, to kind of get them into the free session, so that I can share the details of the program and obviously how I would help them, that sort of thing. But if you're someone who's offering a lesson package, for instance, it would work for that as well. So if you're doing a free lesson in any form, this is obviously just a way to kind of to baby step getting someone onto that lesson. Now, this conversation looks kind of chill and pretty organic, but there's actually a lot going under the hood, and I'm going to get into the kind of structure that I was using for a conversation like this. So here it is, all right? The first thing is the opener, all right? I hit them with, hey, blank, obviously say their name. Saw your comment on my post, but in the one I showed you then, it's like he responded to the poll. I then asked him a question related to it, but here it can be really simple, like how are the drums treating you? That was a really common one that I used. The only objective of this is to just get them to reply. That's it, okay? Some people won't reply, that's fine. But if they do, they'll be like, yeah, drums are treating me great. Cool. Now I want to kind of ask the question that opens up whether or not they are my ideal student. Now, something I talk a lot about on this channel is obviously you want to be kind of specific in who you're targeting. So for me, I was targeting intermediate drummers, not beginners. So by asking that question before about like, how long have you been playing? Are you doing gigs, right? I'm trying to establish if they're an intermediate drummer. So if I'm talking to someone and they say, I've been playing for a month, they're not my ideal student, okay? So we'll politely kind of move on because I'm looking for the right person for my program. Also, real quick, if you want the PDF of this DM structure, there's a link down below. Drop your email and I'll send it over to you. Then the second qualifying question is, do they have a problem that I know I can solve as a teacher, right? So here, I'm curious, like which areas of your playing do you find difficult to improve? Then they'll say, like in the last combo, he's like, well, I struggle with, applying fills with flow and kind of freedom, that sort of thing. Cool. So again, if they say, I don't find any areas difficult to improve, I'm amazing. It's like, okay, well, I can't help you, basically. But people are very often very forthcoming with telling you things that they're struggling with or areas that they want to improve, and then you're starting to get an idea of how you can help this person, right? So you're starting to go, okay, cool. Which kind of leads me to this. You want to kind of expand on that, So like, okay, that must be frustrating. Like, what do you find most difficult about that? And it's doing two things. It's helping you understand their problems, right? It's helping you understand exactly what's going on so you can start to get a feel for, okay, I think I know the solution or how I would actually go about kind of fixing this problem. Because if it's a problem you don't feel like you can solve as well, that's also, revealing in itself. You might move on to someone else. But also it's building trust with you, right? Because they're starting to open up and they're starting to feel like, because you're asking these questions with direction and you have a structure for the conversation, they feel quite safe and they feel like, okay, he's done this before. He knows, he knows what's up. It's a bit of a diagnosis, right? It's really, really powerful tool for building trust. So once they've kind of done that, you can also reflect those things back, to make sure that they feel understood. You can say something like, okay, so it sounds like you're struggling with X, Y, Z. Is that right? They might say yes. Then you kind of showing them how you can help them, right? Okay, cool. I can think of a few potential causes for this, or I've faced similar issues in the past. And then maybe you say something like, it could be to do with this, it could be to do with that. Kind of depends, but you're kind of showing them like that you have some understanding of what they're going through, because you've been there yourself, and presumably it's a problem that you've solved as a teacher yourself. And then we kind of move to asking permission to take the next step with them, right? So rather than you shoving some sales thing down their throat or like, some pitch, you're just basically saying, do you want me to help? And 9 times out of 10, they're going to say, yes, please. Or they're going to say, what does that look like? Or, how can you help me? Then you just invite them to take the next step with you. That's it. All right, cool. Well, in order for me to figure out whether or not I can help you, let's schedule a quick video chat and just see what I can do for you. And that's basically the free session. So all you're doing is inviting them to take the next step. So as you can see, there's quite a little bit here to this. Now that you kind of know the structure a little bit, let's take a look at another conversation. And what I'll do is I'll kind of relate it to the structure and also talk about some things that I think I could have done better, because these are older conversations. This is a skill I've definitely developed a lot since then. So I can maybe talk about some things I would do differently as well. So here's another chat with also someone who ended up joining my coaching program. At this point, this is a couple of years later, I'd made my own Facebook group. So I just say, welcome to the group. Great to have you in. How are the drums treating you? Same as before. He says, thanks, enjoying it. whoops. I've got a new electronic set to go with my acoustic, TD17. That's cool. I like the versatility of playing whenever. Nice, right? So just a bit of banter. Yeah, it's important, especially if you're getting those noise complaints, which is true. Then I ask him, like, what are you working on these days? So this is a little bit of a softer introduction here. Like, I'm not jumping in as quickly. You know, what are you working on? A few things, keeping good time, speed and accuracy. It's cool. This is good stuff. You know, it's a solid list. And then I'm just asking, like, look, are there any particular areas that you find difficult to improve? He says speed. Speed for now. I'm a hobbyist, you know, probably real low intermediate. Yeah, and he's just kind of opening up a little bit. Also trying to learn to play the hi-hat with both left and the right hand. So yeah, a little bit more lower intermediate sort of problems here, but definitely still an intermediate. He then like pocket presses the thumbs, which is funny, whatever. Cool. And then I'm just like kind of reflecting back to him. Okay, cool. So it sounds like you're working on some good things. What would you say is the main goal for your playing? Now, this is another thing that I was kind of experimenting with a little bit. Asking people about their goals does a similar thing to asking about the pain points as well. So it's like, you know, are they heading in a particular direction? Are they having any problems with getting there, right? And then he says, well, yeah, I would like to play live at some point, right? He's got aspirations to play with other people, need to find a rock group, local group, you know, da-da-da-da. I say, that's a great goal. Would you like me to help? I don't like this. Okay, I did this way too soon. I think what I should have done instead is gone, I would like to have said, ask one more question, sort of expanding on that. Okay, if that's the goal, what do you feel like is kind of standing in the way of you getting there? Like any frustrations that have come up with your own practice, something like that. But as you can see, it kind of worked anyway, but in hindsight, I would have liked to have kind of opened up a little bit more, just expanded on what he was talking about. Again, he's seen a couple of my videos, which is obviously helpful. And then he's basically saying, you know, I haven't really had lessons before. There's a lot I don't know. And I was like, you know, obviously, thank you. That's cool. Let's schedule a quick phone chat, see what I can do with you. And he's like, again, let's go for Monday at some point early next week. So yeah, as you can see, it obviously works, even despite not being kind of a perfect conversation. But that's it. That's the framework that I use. So once you've had a few of these conversations, you're going to get people wanting to book these free sessions with you. Now, if you check out this video here, I'm taking you through the exact way to structure those sessions, whether you're selling lesson packages or coaching or whatever it may be, to maximize the chance of that person signing up to become one of your students. So check that out here.